Today, we're talking about clean data. Some of you might be a bit of a geek like Wayne and I, quite get off on a chat about data, who knows? Anything goes at the moment. So obviously my job always is to warm you lovely people up. We're recording this webinar, so evidently stay focused, because God forbid you have to watch it again. You might be tested, but obviously there's some lots and lots of content in this. We are going to go at rapid speed, yeah? I never want to be accused of not giving everything to these webinars. And I equally, we will be putting the slide deck on our website as well as the video at a later stage as well. So you can play it back to your heart's content, especially if you're trying to stay sober and you need some distraction. You know who we are by now. Not that we're that famous, but you'll have seen our blogs all over the place. And some of you have been on some of our webinars already, which is lovely to see. At least you respect us, unlike our kids. We do three things, but the main thing that you're here to talk about today and listen about is automation. But don't forget, we are fantastic at training. We do lots of automation implementations, 350 and counting so far. And we do a lot of what we call turbo work, which we split into three. Automation turbo, we call it. So you've already got it, but you need it to work harder. You need to stop using LinkedIn Recruiter and advertising your jobs. You want your recruiters using Bullhorn first. You need to place more candidates and quicker. Thank you very much. You need to get your recruiters more engaged in the platform, and automation will help you do that. So we train people who've never used automation before, but they've already got it in their businesses. So if that's you guys and gals, or you've got someone in your team that you need to be trained in automation, let us do the heavy lifting. We also do a lot of coaching, okay? And the difference between the thing is you already know what you're doing with automation, but you might just need someone to give you a kick up the bum, backside, but if you're American, or you might need some strategic ideas, or you might need to take it up a level. You know, no different to, you know your way around the gym, but actually getting a personal trainer might be your missing link. And then finally, a lot of our clients are saying right now, we either know what we want and we ain't got time to build it, or we don't know what we want. Can you tell us what we need and build it for us? And that's a big piece of work for us. We're doing a lot of cleaning up of client databases right now. And evidently, if any of you saw through that veiled attempt at a sales pitch, well done. We would like to help all of you today, either train you, coach you, or build for you, whichever way. Let's not just buy a bit of kit and hope it works. This is not the year to bankroll Bullhorn, as much as they might like you doing that. We're here to help you get massive value from it. As well as, obviously, we love training recruiters. You'll see me talking about this all the time. My Recruitment Hit platform is there to do a significant amount of heavy lifting for new starters and experienced staff in all forms of tech, and also very much so recruitment training as well. I, as always, am warming you up. These stats for me are very important. They help some of my clients position why they want stuff to be a certain way based on the stats that I compile for you. I don't take credit for that. I'll just a little email saying, by the way, Lise, that stat really helped me get my team focused on stuff, or it gave me a reason to straighten my spine and do what I know I need to do, but for whatever reason, I've never had the real purpose. Or I'm sick of seeing that stat in my business. I want it over. I want to stop talking about that. So we know that data in recruitment has often got very little value. You've just told us 78% of you. We've worked collectively, Wayne and I, in the industry for 50 years. Oh my God, I've just said that for the first time out loud. I need to go and get some work done. Sorry?
Hugo clocks, isn't it? 25 years.
Well, whatever. If that's what floats your boat, Wayne, that's your anniversary present for this year. Sorted.
Brilliant.
It shouldn't be unvaluable, especially when actually it decays at quite a rapid rate if you don't do anything with it. I'm a big fan of evidently your people are your most important resource, but I always very swiftly followed by, and so's your data. Yeah, because that's the thing that continues in your business. That's the bit that probably pulls your business down. That's the bit that causes you problems. Why? It's like for all the bigger businesses out there, I always use Tesco Clubcard as an example. They make a mint out of knowing what data they've got. Yeah, they get you buying stuff that you didn't even know you needed. The other thing as well is the data that we supposedly tell our clients that we've got, we're niche specialists in a particular industry, is totally belittled by us then advertising for candidates or searching for them externally. We're telling a bit of a weird story by we're niche specialists, but we ain't got any candidates. It's a very black and white truth. So that's something to think about as well. We're limiting our sales with crappy data. This is just, again, I'm going to chuck this data at you, but you could say to your staff that you clean your data up, you're probably going to make more money, 12% more, maybe. So that, again, compelling. This isn't just something that I've got a little poll of 5 people that I spoke to. These are decent, big, chunky businesses that I'm not going to get into an argument with. We know that recruiters are wasting time as well, because we know from Bullhorn themselves tell us that if you place candidates from your own system, you place them 20 days quicker. Well, 20 days, there's a lot of 20 days in 365. You need to look at the amount of placements you're making every year and say to yourself, if you could take every single one, or even only 10% of your placements, and reduce the time to place by 20 days, how many more placements could you get in? How many more invoices could you send? How much more money would you make? How many less recruiters might you need, or might allow you to scale more because people are being more efficient and effective? The other thing as well is, again, you'll hear me say this a lot, your clients are not paying you to source. They're paying you to, well, they're not even paying you to place. They're paying you to build bridges, open offices, improve their sales pipelines. It's that why. Why do recruitment consultants exist? Not to source candidates. You should already have them. Thank you very much. That's what you're telling them on your websites. I've read them all, every single one of you. She says, you don't have Bullhorn first, because if you did, you wouldn't need to do half the things you're doing. A lot of my clients, literally the one I spoke to at 11 o'clock, were aiming for Bullhorn first. What does that really mean? It doesn't mean on a Friday when you've got a minute. It doesn't mean after you've exhausted LinkedIn. It means while you're on the phone to the client, searching, or God forbid you have auto match switched on if you've got Bullhorn Automation. Today isn't just, by the way, for people with Bullhorn Automation. It's for those of you, what's all the fuss about? What is all the fuss about? Well, the fuss about automation is if you automate and you get your data cleaned up, you're a lot less manual and your staff are happier, which obviously means your candidates and clients are happy, and probably so is your bank manager. I want you to be more productive. I want you to boost sales. You don't do that by working harder. Yeah, we don't have more hours in the day. And a lot of my recruitment leaders say to me, our staff are working less hours than I did when I was their age. Sorry, that's just a fact of life now. How are you going to use tech to sort out your mental health problems resulting from that truth? Equally as well, I've got lots of clients going, I'm coming up for renewal, or why do they need all this extra tech? And I'm going, they don't. You just need to create a journey to allow you to turn it off. And I'm quite strong about this. Yeah, I personally, if I was starting up a recruitment business today, would think long and hard about being as lean and mean as I possibly could be, and not just buying stuff because someone's told me it might get me more candidates. You have probably got enough data on your system. Ergo, you might need a little bit every now and again, but it shouldn't be an addiction. Yeah, you shouldn't be bankrolling these organizations who recently have put their prices up massively. When we also consider that a significant amount of applications you get from those sources are not good enough. Yeah. So I want to increase your sourcing speed and decrease the amount of investment and time you're spending on it. We want to help you sell more. We want to help you have a better work-life balance, and everything that comes starts with your data. Starts with your data. I want to know though, what have you actually got to gain if you cleaned your data or sorted it out? What would you actually gain from that process? I'm having a bit of fun here. Yeah. Because again, I'm always interested in the why. Yeah. Having a clean database, I feel better about myself. No. What's it actually going to do if you did it? What's the ultimate so what? Oh, it's because of that. Again, I'm positioning you because I'm getting you ready for Wayne, because he's got a few things to talk to you about, whether you have automation or not, to get your data front and center, because that's the continuous thing that runs through your business. It either chokes you or it speeds you up. Candidate and client experience. We always talk about the 3 C's, candidates, clients, and colleagues, and we often forget about our colleagues. Just do your job is what we kind of don't mean, but that's kind of what we're saying with some of our activities. Yeah. Buy the system for the recruiters, buy some training for the recruiters. What about the business? How can we get the business operating better so the recruiters go, if I leave, I can't do this on my own. I need this. I need this system. I need this data to do my job. I'll let you reflect on that. I'll let you reflect on that. Right, that's lovely. Next. Okay, so let's stop limiting our humans from being amazing. Let's start freeing them up with automation and with clean data. Let's make sure we optimize and maximize the opportunity we get from automation by sorting our data out. We often hear that recruiters are worried about starting to automate because of the cleanliness and the health of their data. Yeah, and that stops them from automating. Yeah, which is, by the way, automation actually fixes that problem as well as maximizes the opportunity that comes from it. So any of you agnostics or keen to learn more, trust us, we're doctors, she says, we wish. You automate your data and you clean it up. sometimes might be your first thing you do. Oh my God, do good things happen? But ultimately, if you've already got automation, you've got to be thinking about how you keep that data clean so automation can go, I've got this. Now get on with your candidate and client relationships, please. So there we go. Okay, I'm hoping that you're nice and warm, because Wayne's purpose today is to explain to you how you can add some turbo to your business. I'm obviously on a mission because I want you to generate more money. And often clients don't even have time to do the basics, which is the slide in front of you. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made from this one activity. I talk about this a lot on webinars because I don't see enough recruitment consultants making this part of their standard process. You'll get the slides after this, so you can grab these stats and help your recruiters understand the opportunities they are missing by not spending time on asking for more work, please. So I want you to be thinking deeply while you've got Wayne. Yeah. We've got to de-administrate recruitment. Yeah, we've got a lot of recruitment administrators with the job title recruitment consultants. It's not good enough. We need to get back to consultant and saving about to say saving lives, not quite, making lives better. Recruitment consultants can make lives and businesses better. So he's going to talk to you a lot about cleaning, and there's a bit of a thing coming your way. I'm going to send you some emails with the webinars that we've got going live in February. Again, business development, vacancy management, lead generation. Some really good stuff there. And always remember, we talk about this a lot as well, our dig up stupid model. We're focusing on that green space. Yeah, we're not focusing on the black stuff because it gets in the way, and maybe the dormant stuff, automation can get that into the green. We're focusing on what can we do to maximize the opportunity. So the final question that I've got for you today is, what is the impact of dirty data in your business? Quickly tell us in less than 10 seconds. Tick as many as you like. Well, what do you think dirty data is doing to your business right now? Really interested. Again, this is about you thinking about the purpose of this webinar is not to turn up and listen. It's to go, I'm going to do something about this. Yeah. Engine, come on, let's do this. Let's move our businesses forward. Wayne, I'm going to turn my mic and camera off, and I'm just going to be clicking in the background.
Lisa's already mentioned some of these stats already. 72% of the time candidates are in your database. If you're a well-established business, you work in a vertical, it's really important that you get the value from your existing database. Going to market, downloading CVs costs you money, speed takes time in order to process that data. So on that basis, change the perception of your CRM. Your CRM shouldn't be seen as a data dump. It should be seen as a way of building communities. Get your recruiters focused on key parts of the recruitment data. If you're a credit control recruiter, give them 500 candidates to work. Get them focused on that data, get it into a fit state, allow them to recycle that data. Some ideas coming on that in a bit. Talked about this already. It's community. You need to build a community in your database. That will improve your candidate and client experience. If you're regularly in contact with your active candidates, and Bullhorn states that candidates expect a communication at least once a week if they're active in the market. So you can use automation to try and build that community. The other thing I don't see enough of is the fun stuff. We're all very good at telling people about jobs and talking about what's going on with our business. But where is the fun information? Where's the events? Where's the opportunities to engage people outside of just the recruitment sphere? So again, automation can help you do that. Just reminding your recruiters, finding out what their football team is or what their favorite programs are, etc., etc. Add that into your CRM system. It gives you an opportunity to have a conversation about something other than just recruitment. 6 insights this time, not 5, 6. There was one that a client and I looked at last week, and it was revolutionary in terms of getting them to think about their data. So we'll come on to that in a second. First suggestion here. This doesn't matter if you've got automation or not, but the most important thing you must identify is, where is my data getting stuck? So we all talk about candidate and client experience. So if candidates are applying for jobs and we're not doing anything with them, one of my clients yesterday, we looked at it, they had 300 people apply and they were shortlisted against the job. 3-4 people have been spoken to. The rest of them were just sat there. And it goes into this candidate client experience. If you're not progressing those applications through to a conclusion, so you can either say, we've made a job interview for you, or alternatively, we haven't got anything, but we'll be in touch as soon as something relevant comes along. Getting your recruiters to process that data is really, really important. So identify the stuck data. Last year, a client had 6.5 million candidates on their database. 2.5 million of those candidates were at the recruiter interview, requested documents stage. 2.5 million people sat there not doing anything with them. Some of them going back 10 years. That's a huge amount of data that's just going to be sat there. Nothing's being done with that data. So again, applications, map out that journey, understand what you want to happen, understand the off-ramp. How do we get candidates either into an active cycle or a not looking cycle, or an archive cycle if they're totally irrelevant to you. Open jobs is a common one that we come across from a stuck data perspective. Look at your live jobs now. Just go in, look at your live jobs. How many jobs have you got that are active and live? Is that a true reflection over what actually you are working on? Or is it super inflated? How can leadership make an active decision about, we've got plenty of jobs on, we haven't got enough candidates? Or actually, we've got very few jobs on that we're actively working. The rest of it is all just noise. Really important. It's a really simple automation if you've got automation. Submittals, shortlisting, rejecting candidates. Again, that's the journey that you want to take people on. Reject candidates. Tell them they've been unsuccessful. Do it through an automation if you've got automation. Failing that, have a process in place that will enable people to move forward. Active candidates is one of those areas that we talk about a lot. If an active candidate is active, then make them active and engage with them. Yeah, don't just put them on the database and say they're active and then do nothing with them, because all you end up with is a huge active candidate database that nobody trusts, because every time they try and speak to somebody, they're not active. Contract candidates without data availability dates. If you work in a contract environment, make sure every time you speak to a candidate, ask when their contract's up for renewal. Yeah, you can put automations in place to ask that. You can also use automations that will help you track those dates. And 8, maybe even 12 weeks before, you can start engaging those candidates. Removing old archive bad data. Everyone wants to start with FOMO, the big black box down the bottom of that triangle. I suggest that if you're going to start there, then just remove the really old stuff and be ruthless. The number of times that we hear clients saying, we don't want to get rid of the data, so on that basis, we're just going to leave it in the database. But it's noise. Nobody's engaging with it. If you've got candidates that have been on the database for 5, 10, 15 years, but you've not got an email address, you've not got a phone number, you've not got any contact details, you haven't got any activity, there's been no notes added. Why is it still there? There's a saying, if you've not used something within your house for 6 weeks, it's unlikely you need it. So therefore, it's a good way of house cleaning your house, house cleaning. Same principle that goes on with data within your CRM system. Be ruthless with it. Yeah, enable your recruiters to identify the valuable data and nurture that, and allow other data to come in. But if it's irrelevant data, if you don't recruit in Azerbaijan or Japan, etc., then just remove it from the database. Get rid of that noise. The other thing to bear in mind, everyone looks at GDPR. You all need to look up PECR, the PECR regulations, private electronic communications regulations. You must have express consent to be able to digitally communicate with candidates or clients. So just bear that in mind. If you're holding on to data that you may not have reason to hold on, then you might be in breach of those. So really, really, really look at that. From an automation perspective, there are hundreds of automations that you can use. You mentioned some duplicates. Have a look at your duplicate lists in automation. Yeah, pull out all the duplicates that basically have the same email addresses, but I've got no activity. Remove those, just archive those off. The other key thing as well is if you really don't want to delete the data, then archive the data off. In Bullhorn and other systems, archiving isn't deleting, it's just removing it from the immediate view. So if you're able to look at all the available candidates, and they are genuinely available candidates, and you still can't find somebody, then do a second search and then look at your archive data as well. You've split out your quantity and your quality parts of your database. That's an important part of the system. So the idea is, if you've got new data coming into the database and you've still got all the old data, then where do you start? Again, looking at that pyramid. So I always suggest that you should start on the new data. You want to include that new data journey. You want candidates and clients to have a good experience. Well, those people that have been on the database for a long time, they've already had maybe a bad experience, or maybe you don't even remember who you are. So focus on the new data. Put those processes in place. What is my welcome journey if I link in with a candidate and I add them to Bullhorn? What's the journey of an application? How do I progress them through the journey? How do I capture the data? How do I either place them or push them into another way of put them into a sourcing hot candidate list, etc., or how do I archive them off? Once you put those processes in place for the new data that's going onto the database, then you stop the rot. Processes are in place, it's auto cleansing itself, or the candidates or sales contacts are cleansing their own data because they're using self-service. Once those processes in place, then you can start thinking about the FOMO data. That's my recommendation of what you should be thinking about when you're starting to think about automation specifically. But if you just want to try and get a cleaner database, focus on the new stuff, then focus on the valuable stuff, and then finally focus on the FOMO data at the end of it. I've got down there an automation side of things, use surveys to request information. And there's another term I love to use, which is layering information into the database. It's unfair and it stops people putting data into the database if every time I add a candidate, I've got to fill in 400 million mandatory fields. Well, I don't know all that information. I may have just found their CV. I may not have spoken to them yet, but you want that data in the system. So as managers and leaders, you know what data is going in and you know you've got value from that data potentially. So look at the layering of the information. If it's new data, I only expect 3 or 4 bits of information. However, when I've interviewed or screened the candidate, I do expect a lot more information. You can use automation to trigger checking those fields based around the status. So if it's new, these 3 fields should be completed. If it's completed or a note type or activity has been completed, say I've screened or interviewed the candidate, then all of these fields should be completed. Yeah, so use that way of layering information. I think it's a really interesting concept. And it removes that mandatory, and it means that you capture a lot more data from the outset. Auto close jobs. Touched upon this already. What is your pipeline? If you were to look at your live jobs now, genuinely, how many live jobs? What is the potential pipeline? Now, there's always that ratio, isn't there? The number of live jobs and the number of placements we make could be 10 to 1, could be 4 to 1, whatever that is. So if you're a leader sat there looking at your database going, oh, look, we've got £100 million worth of potential revenue. I know that we placed 10% of it, it's £10 million. We're in a good place. But if all of those jobs were open 6, 7 years ago, then that pipeline isn't adding any value to your decision-making process. It also enables you to look at who is naturally not that busy in your teams. Yeah, Wayne's got tons of jobs. Yeah, but he hasn't. Yeah, if the jobs are automatically closed down. So it's one of those standard automations we always put in place when we're doing the implementation, training with people and coaching. And it's one of those automations that we sort of say, let's have a look at this. Let's see whether or not you have a problem or a challenge. And if so, then we can put some standards in place. So if it's a perm, normally 3 months, it seems to be the sort of average. Close jobs automatically after 3 months. If it's temp or contract, again, make a decision. Is it 4 weeks? Is it a week? Whatever it needs to be. Automatically close down. It will probably capture 99% of all the jobs that should be closed down. There might be 1 or 2 that, go over the 3 months or whatever your time threshold is. But it's a really good exercise to make sure that any analytics package you have is reporting accurately so that you can see and the business can genuinely see how busy they actually are. So auto close jobs, I think it's a really important one. Finally, no, not finally, candidate data self-service. So this is an obvious one. We used to not allow candidates to want to touch the database because we didn't trust them. However, self-service has been around for a long time. LinkedIn, we trust LinkedIn, but we don't actually update the data. We get the candidates to update their data, or LinkedIn does. So therefore, it is now trusted. So we must be able to trust candidates to update the data. If you're a little bit suspect on that, then limit what you basically put allow candidates to update. So you don't want updating their skills potentially, but certainly checking their phone number, checking their email address, those sorts of common things you want them to be able to do. The other thing as well is what is valuable. So only allow the candidates to update what's valuable to them or to the recruiter. What job would you like to do as opposed to what job you do, or which one do you trust? Now, you have the ability in certain systems to say, well, what do you currently do and what's your desired options? So allow the candidates to update the desired ones, but the recruiter, which is the valuable field, will be say, this is exactly what you do. And I know full well that you could go off and do these other things as well. So allow candidates to do data self-service. I think it's really, really good. It saves time. Saves a hell of a lot of time from your recruiters. And on top of that, they're not sat there typing in information. Yes, your recruiters are data miners. It's one thing that the change has happened over the last 3, 4, 5 years. Recruiters are not just salespeople, they're mining data. You're always networking people. I was told every time you speak to somebody, get 2 names. We didn't have computers in my day, but that was the idea of networking. Well, it's no different now. I always say that a recruiter, every time they speak to a candidate, should be validating and double checking the key search fields. Where are you? What do you want to do? What's your salary, or what expectations do you have? And what type of role or what type of skill set do you want to use? Those are the key search fields that recruiters use to search against the database. Just get them to check every single time they speak to a candidate. It's really, really obvious. But if the candidate's updating that data to begin with, recruiters don't have to do it as well. Okay, finally, those of you who have automation in place already, we ran this for a client last week. The figure was 1,700, which was really interesting. The number of placed sales contacts that don't have an active user in the CRM, i.e. the person's left, your recruiter has left. For this client, it was 1,700. That was a big wake-up call. There are 1,700 sales contacts that are not being actively managed. Poor account management. You want candidates and clients to have a good experience, or make sure you reassign those sales contacts to people in your business. There's lots of ways in which you can do that. Either you recruit somebody into that desk and you reassign everything to that person, so you give them a nice warm desk, or you say to them, I've got 50 people here, going to give 5 to each person. The conversation is, how is John getting on with his job, Mr. Sales Contact? I'm going to be managing your account now. Let's have a conversation. Let's book something in. If you've got a lot of data, then maybe just focus on those really grade A sales contacts, not candidates. But look at that data. If in doubt, add them to a hot list. That's the last thing I'd suggested. You can add those sales contacts into a hot list and then tell everyone where those sales contacts are. Tell them to go through them. Now, set yourself a target. Over the next month, we'll have spoken to all of these people. I can guarantee you will probably pick up jobs from those people. So it's a really simple list criteria. Go into your automation system, look up all placed contacts, all placements, all sales contacts with a placement in the last 3 years, and then say the owner is not active. You'll get a figure. It'll either surprise you, or you'll go, do you know what? Our process is spot on. It's working already. That's it. Some great ideas there from an automation perspective, but also just in general about how you can keep your data cleansed.
So obviously we've got a checklist here that should help you as well, like write a list of all of the things that you need to do to get your data as clean as possible. Just some high level ideas there. And again, when you get the slide deck on this, you can obviously grab that slide as well. Wayne, just talk us through what you think the next steps are for these people on the webinar today.
Yeah, so the next steps from my perspective would always be map your data journey. You're always talking about wanting good quality data. So how does data get into the system? How do you process it? How do you move it forward? How do you make placements? How do you put it into a holding pattern? How do you keep it engaged? Map those journeys out, have those discussions with the recruiters and your back office team, and then understand that. Once they're mapped in, then you can make decisions to how you move forward. Identify your bad data. Look at that old data. Is it really needed? That person from 1999 still in your database. They probably don't do that role anymore. Again, identify that bad data. Look at the duplicate side of things. Focus on valuable relationships. We've just looked at your placed sales contacts. So they are valuable to the business. Focusing on that. Quality versus quantity. 2 parts to that. You either do one, or you do the other, or you do both. 3 thoughts. But whatever you do, be ruthless. Get rid of the old data that you're not engaging with. Look at all of those opportunities to remove data whereby you no longer are active in those maybe industries or those specific job roles. As with all automations, build it, test it, refine it. Don't try and build it and make it perfect from the outset. Just do one step, get it done, and move on. Yeah, and then you can refine it. And obviously, if you've got any ideas or you need help or some support, please contact us.
Excellent. So we don't have time for questions, but drop me a line with anything you need. Don't forget, we're here to train new people on automation, coach existing users that need that leg up. And that's okay, by the way. The platform is incredibly powerful and sophisticated. And obviously, we do build work as well for those of you that are just too busy. They don't want to build the house themselves. They need someone to come in and do that. We quite like that bit. Don't forget as well, automation is one thing, cleaning up your data is one thing, getting your recruiters delivering your way of working and using your systems to deliver a great candidate and client experience and ultimately more placements. That's the key. Don't forget our platform. Feel free to sign up for all of our webinars that we run. We've got a big back catalogue on our website as well. And obviously we've got the February ones going live very soon. And obviously sign up for a trial if you're not already a hit user. There's some really good stuff on there. Quite a bit about best practice and change and data, and obviously Bullhorn and automation, as well as a wealth of other stuff. Keep us posted on your progress. If there's any gaps in the content today, any other ideas you've got that we can steal, I'm up for that. Drop us a line. Have a great end of week, everyone. Enjoy the rest of dry January. Endure the rest of dry January, and we'll catch up with you very soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys.